on ABC 7.
Tonight, breaking news, the White House shakeup. Steve Bannon is out. President Trump's chief strategist says he resigned. What happened? And this photograph, everyone on the president's team pictured here, now gone except for the vice president. Also developing tonight, the second terror attack, another car plowing into a crowd, and the hero policewoman who took the shot, reportedly killing 4 out of 5 suspects. And in Barcelona, the American husband who was reportedly shopping for souvenirs, separated from his wife in the chaos, what we've learned. Then word coming in today of another gruesome and deadly attack, the man wielding a knife. We have new reporting tonight. Severe storms hitting in the Northeast. As we come on the air, we are tracking them. Rob Marciano is live. And after the cancer returned, the new message tonight from Olivia Newton-John.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Friday night. And we begin tonight with a seismic shakeup at the White House. The president's chief strategist, and for many, the most controversial member of his team, is out tonight. Steve Bannon pushed out of the West Wing today. He said he resigned days ago, exactly 1 year after joining the Trump campaign. President Trump under fire after Charlottesville, after saying both sides share the blame and that there were, quote, very fine people on both sides, facing increasing pressure to make changes at the White House. ABC senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega leading us off.
President Trump under fire for stoking racial tensions in the wake of Charlottesville today forced out his most controversial advisor, Steve Bannon, a man who proudly promoted right-wing nationalism inside the White House and beyond. Bannon, a key member of the president's inner circle, a confidant right there with the Trump family on election night. He left his job as editor of the right-wing Breitbart News, hoping to save a campaign in free fall. As the president's chief strategist, his nationalist agenda displayed in his West Wing office, Bannon posing for pictures in front of a whiteboard that famously spelled out his priorities.
If you think they're going to give you your country back without a fight, you are sadly mistaken. Every day it is going to be a fight.
He seemed to have so much power, Time magazine called him the great manipulator.
Send in Steve Bannon.
And of course, SNL portraying him as the real mastermind in the Oval Office.
Okay, Donald, that's enough fun for tonight. Can I have my desk back?
Yes, of course, Mr. President. I'll go sit at my desk.
It did not sit well with the president, who told the Wall Street Journal in April Bannon was just, quote, a guy who works for me. And just this week, the president making it clear he won the election on his own.
Mr. Bannon came on very late. You know that. I went through 17 senators, governors, and I won all the primaries. Mr. Bannon came on very much later than that.
In his rocky tenure, Bannon made enemies throughout the West Wing. Some of those fights caught on camera. Bannon battling with the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster. His allies in the right-wing media quick to back him up. At that incendiary press conference Tuesday, the president signaled his chief strategist was hanging by a thread.
He's a good man. He is not a racist, I can tell you that. We'll see what happens with Mr. Bannon.
But the final straw seems to be an interview Bannon gave the very next day, publicly undercutting the president's military threats of fire and fury against North Korea. Bannon saying, quote, there's no military solution here. They got us. Bannon's departure is just the latest shakeup for a West Wing in crisis. This picture of the president in the Oval Office with his top advisors was taken just days after the inauguration. Now, National Security Advisor Michael Flynn gone. Press Secretary Sean Spicer gone. Chief of Staff Reince Priebus gone. And finally today, Steve Bannon.
And Cecilia Vega joined us from Bridgewater, New Jersey tonight. And Cecilia, in a sign of how quickly power shifts, the president met at Camp David today with top advisors on the future of our troops in Afghanistan. Vice President Pence flew back early to attend, but no Steve Bannon. And tonight you've learned that Bannon is back in his old job.
He is right back there at Breitbart. They say Steve Bannon is back. In fact, tonight he chaired the editorial meeting over there at Breitbart News, taking on the exact same title he left behind, executive chairman. But David, today Steve Bannon told Bloomberg that he plans to wage war on behalf of President Trump, taking the Capitol.
Cecilia Vega leading us off from a very stormy New Jersey tonight. Cecilia, thank you. Next tonight here, the deadly terror attacks. After Barcelona and the white van plowing through that crowd, another attack. Another car through a crowd and dramatic video tonight. A hero policewoman reportedly killing 4 out of 5 attackers on her own. And tonight here, we're learning about the American husband and father of 3 back in Barcelona who was killed, separated from his wife in the chaos. ABC's James Longman from Spain again tonight.
Overnight, the second horrific scene of terror. Another car barreling into a crowd in the seaside town of Cambrils, Spain, killing 1 and injuring 6. This video capturing the tense moments as officers engage one attacker armed with a knife. Police say a hero policewoman taking down 4 of the 5 terrorists killed. Here you can see the man wearing what police think might be a suicide vest. Shot after shot, he drops to the ground, only to get up again, lunging toward police. Finally take him down, and that bomb vest, a fake, made of soda cans. Used, terror experts believe, so he would be killed, not captured. It came just hours after that white van jumped the curb in Barcelona, zigzagging down that pedestrian path, killing 13 and wounding at least 120. Newly released surveillance video shows the moment itself. You can see a mother with a stroller narrowly escaping. One of the people in that crowd, Mother Cherie Weiss from Los Angeles, telling David about the moment she saw that van speeding towards her.
And we know you're a mom, and it would seem a mother's instinct kicked in because you described actually grabbing a child who was frozen as this was all playing out and trying to get him out of the way.
Yes, so when I realized I had to jump to my right, I saw maybe a 14, 15-year-old boy, like a deer in headlights. He just froze, and I could tell on his face he didn't know what to do. So when I jumped to the right, I pulled him behind a pole with me, and we crouched down together on the ground.
She saved him as she witnesses a man next to them get hit. Tonight, we're learning more about the lives lost. One of the victims, Jared Tucker, father of 3 from San Francisco. Here in Spain to celebrate his first anniversary, separated from his new wife while souvenir shopping. And 7-year-old Julian Cadman from Australia. Tonight, the police making new arrests on the trail of an ISIS-inspired terror cell as they search for these 4 suspects, the most wanted men in Europe. This is Ripoll. It's a small town about an hour north of Barcelona, and it's where many of the attackers are from. The hometown of Musa Okabir, the 17-year-old who they believe stole his brother's ID to rent the white van used to plow into those crowds, the possible driver. Back in Barcelona, just 24 hours after that horrific attack, crowds on that promenade chanting, "We are not afraid," shaken but defiant.
And James Longman joins us live tonight near the site of that attack. And so many people were back out on that promenade today sending a message, James. And still a fast-moving investigation tonight?
Well, that's right. It might look like life is back to normal here, but this is still very much a city on edge. And that's because authorities cannot be sure of the full extent of that terror group, what they might have had planned next, and how many were involved. David?
James Longman with us again tonight from Spain. James, thank you. Meantime, we are learning that this attack was supposed to be much bigger because before all of this unfolded, an accidental house explosion revealing a terror cell, their whereabouts. And authorities now believe the suspects decided they had to act and act fast. Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross tonight.
Spanish authorities tonight now say it could have been even worse, that a much more devastating attack was being planned in this villa outside Barcelona by members of the ISIS-inspired terror cell. But their plans changed Wednesday night when one of the group's bombs detonated prematurely, killing one of the terrorists and causing the others to flee when police responded. Left behind, at least 21 propane gas canisters that can be seen in the rubble. Canisters officials believe were intended for some powerful truck bombs.
If these attackers would have been better bomb makers, we would have seen hundreds of deaths.
After the explosion at that villa in the town of Alcanar, police say some members of the cell headed to Barcelona for the van attack against pedestrians. Others left Alcanar and later ended up at the beach resort of Cambrils, where 5 of them, including this young man, were shot dead by police, revealing a complex terror cell not previously known or even suspected by Spanish authorities.
Clearly, in this circumstance, we're not dealing with the lone wolf offender. Traditional counterterrorism techniques will not pick up on these types of attackers.
Even as ISIS suffers defeat on the battlefield, its efforts to spur on its followers in Europe and the U.S. have had success. This ISIS fighter, identified as an American, goaded his followers with a message posted in May.
Are you incapable of stabbing a kafir with a knife, throwing him off of a building, or running him over with a car?
The message from ISIS to its followers in Europe and the U.S. has been, you can stay home and do great damage by attacking your own country, David.
And they claim that was an American man, right?
That's
there.
right.
Brian Ross with us, thank you. From Spain to the possible new terror scare in Finland tonight, a suspect accused of stabbing 8 people, killing 2, before being shot and wounded by police there. Witnesses say he was waving a large knife in the air, police describing him as young and with a foreign background. Authorities have not ruled out a link to terrorism. Back here at home tonight, into the severe storms hitting at this hour, 40 million Americans at risk from Washington, D.C. to Philly up into New York City. Heavy downpours and flash floods hitting Huntington, New York. Powerful storms making for a very difficult ride home at this hour. Let's get right to meteorologist Rob Marciano. He's live along New York's West Side Highway tonight for us. Hey, Rob.
Hey, David, the storms are rolling in now. This is our second round for the Northeast. Take a look at the radar. They're lined up heading through New Jersey. They just went through Philadelphia, Baltimore, and D.C. Some of these have 70-mile-an-hour winds and heavy rain, so flash flood watches are posted. Update for you on the tropics. Tropical storm Harvey still forecasted to head towards Central America, potentially getting to hurricane strength. And that wave that's heading towards the U.S., we're hoping it runs into some problems and may not develop, but we are watching that closely right through the weekend. David?
As those spaghetti models head toward the U.S., Rob, thank you. We reported here this week on that packed auditorium in Charlottesville, Virginia, a mother and father talking about the daughter who was run over 1 week ago protesting against white supremacists. Tonight, that mother, asked by our Robin Roberts, has she heard from President Trump, and does she want to? Here's ABC's Mary Bruce.
Inside Heather Heyer's packed memorial, her mother, Susan, grieving but defiant.
They tried to kill my child to shut her up. Well, guess what? You just magnified her.
In the days since Heather was killed, President Trump has spoken out, but he hasn't spoken to Heather's mother, Susan. And now, for the first time, she explains why, telling her story to Robin Roberts on GMA.
Well, this is new territory for you, and for this to so tragically happen and bring your daughter and your family into the spotlight and people reaching out, including we understand that President Trump has reached out. Have you talked to him directly yet?
I have not, and now I will not. At first, I just missed his calls. The first call, it looked like actually came during the funeral. I didn't even see that message. There were 3 more frantic messages from press secretaries throughout the day, and I didn't know why. That would have been on Wednesday. And I was home recovering from the exhaustion of the funeral, and so I thought, well, I'll get to him later. So I hadn't really watched the news until last night. And I'm not talking to the president now. I'm sorry. After what he said about my child, and it's not that I saw somebody else's tweets about him. I saw an actual clip of him at a press conference equating the protesters like Ms. Heyer with the KKK and the white supremacists. You can't wash this one away by shaking my hand and saying I'm sorry.
Is there something, though, that you would want to say to the president?
Think before you speak.
And Mary Bruce with us live tonight from the White House. Those words from Heather Heyer's mother making headlines throughout the day. Is there any response tonight from the president or the White House?
Well, David, the White House says their thoughts and prayers continue to be with Heather's family, but what they won't say is whether the president will keep calling. David?
Mary Bruce, thank you. There is still much more ahead on World News Tonight. This Friday, the father and daughter kicked off of a flight, what they were allegedly overheard saying. Also, the shocking discovery inside a suburban home. 3 young children are dead. Authorities are on the scene at this hour. The family tragedy playing out. Then the family crossing this drawbridge. When the gate starts to open, the bridge pulls up, the operator's view blocked by the glare of the sun. What the father suddenly had to do with that car and his family inside to save everyone. And after the cancer returns, the new message tonight from Olivia Newton-John. That's coming up here.
Working hard to lower your LDL bad cholesterol? not making enough